am super excited today because it's going to be a different conversation than all the other YouTube interviews that I've done before. I'm here today with Kimberly Day. She's joining us from Vancouver, Canada. And I'm super excited because she's going to share why she hates to be a real estate investor. She started in 2008 with her first investment property. And in 12 months, she reached 13 properties and doubled her portfolio when she wrote her book, Financial Fitness Playbook. Today, she's the author of the upcoming book, Write and Grow Rich. Kimberly, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you, Camilo, for having me on the show.
Oh my God, awesome. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward for a few weeks to have this conversation with you because the reason why I do these videos is it's called Deal Makers, and I want to interview people, the 95% of the people. Everybody wants to be part of the 5%, but I want to interview the 95% of people that are working 9 to 5, people that can relate to you and me, people that we can learn from each other. And I love having you today because you became a real estate investor, you bought some multifamilies, you hate some of the things that had to do with it, that you want to get rid of them. So I want to talk to you about it. In a minute or something, tell me a little bit about you, who you are, what do you do?
Well, I guess my long and short background is I was a financial advisor for over 13 years. And you know, they tell you, don't be a generalist, you need to be a specialist. So don't be just a doctor, be a surgeon. Well, in the world of finance, what I had done was I actually had niched myself into helping my clients achieve wealth and passive income using real estate as their tool to grow a portfolio instead of using things like a mutual fund. And then in 2016, I wrote my very first book, as you mentioned, the Financial Fitness Playbook, the ultimate guide to winning the money game. And that's when my business really took off. I quite literally in 12 months doubled my income, added 13 properties to my real estate portfolio, and then I had I should have had a VA moment, and I realized that I hate real estate. It was absolutely the worst thing I could have ever done for my business because I just created a magnet that would attract more crap into my life that I actually didn't want.
Yes.
So that's why we're kind of here today, because you're like, what? I've never heard anybody say that before. And yeah, it just turned out real estate was just not my thing.
And it's exciting because I have 2 episodes every week on my YouTube channel, Deal Makers, which is this, and then the other one on Fridays, I shared it with you when I met you a couple months ago. It's called Shit Happens. And I'm tired of the people sharing the good things that happen in their business so that they can say, hey, in 6 months, just working part-time, you can drive my Ferrari, which I know is rented, but I'm using it for advertising. And they're claiming these BS stories so that people can pay them the $3,000, the $5,000, the $10,000 for their fake courses. Instead, I'm sharing the shit that happened in business, but what did we learn from it? The bad and the ugly. Everybody thinks that business is just flowers and roses. So I'm so excited because this is like a real estate business talk, but talking about shit happens in business and you hate it. So
I know.
Real estate is very lucrative. I love it, but I know there's a lot of shit that comes into play. And when you make a profit and that's a business, many of us love it. But you don't love it. What happened? What got you to that stressful situation?
I know, and it's funny because I actually don't, I say I hate real estate. I just hate it for me. I actually still fully believe in real estate. I think it's a fantastic way to build wealth. It just wasn't my bag. You know, some people want to be an engineer. Oh my God, you have to poke my eye out with a sharp stick if you ever said I had to be an engineer for the rest of my life. And like the same happened, real estate investing for me just turned into that, you know. I believe it can be very lucrative. I believe it has a lot of great things about it. But I think people have this roses and rainbows thing about real estate investing.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Camilo, as you already know, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. There was a lot of hard work. And for me, I guess what it felt like was every single time the phone rang, it was some big, huge problem. It was never, oh, guess what? The tenant in apartment 2 paid double the rent this month for you.
Or paid early.
Always, oh, shit. The commercial furnace just blew up. Here's a $15,000 bill. It was always bad news bears every time the phone rang. And to be quite honest with you, Camilo, I took education before I got into real estate. I studied with Rich Dad Education. So for those of you who know Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, I did all the courses. I spent $20,000 on my real estate training before I jumped into the pond. So I had a really good understanding of what I think I needed to do. And still, it was miserable for me. And it was just one of those things where, you know, I'm super proud of myself that I tried it. I'm super proud that I was able to achieve what I did. But for me, it was all like, oh my God, every time the phone would ring. And I tried to do all the right things. Like, as an example, you know, they tell you never to manage your own properties. Find a property manager. Find somebody who's build that dream team, if you will.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's only a certain amount of things that the property manager can do without still having to call you.
Yeah.
When the bill is $15,000 for a commercial furnace, that property manager has to pick up the phone and call the owner and get that approval, right? So for me, it was almost even worse because when I knew the phone was ringing, I knew it was not going to be good. It was going to be something really bad.
Yeah.
And so it just was an anxiety-creating business for me, and it just didn't make me happy. And life is way too short to do stuff that doesn't make you happy. That's
absolutely. I relate to that 100%. I'm a landlord myself. I manage some of my properties as well, not all of them, but most of them. And it's a pain in the ass most of the time to collect rent. And again, in my Shit Happens episode, I share a whole bunch of stories. One of my tenants died in one of my properties at one point. I mean, things go on. And yes, there's never a phone call. Oh my God, I love your roof. I love your house. Here's rent early plus a bonus of $200. That never happens. So I relate to you. And every time that phone rings and there's a tenant or the property manager is like, oh my God, please kill me. How much is this phone call? How much is this phone call going to cost me? That's how I see it.
I know.
But at the same time, we were sharing these live before, like a few months ago. What would your story have been if you would have purchased the properties, let's say 30, 40, 50% below what you bought them for so that it cash flows a lot more? Would you still take those phone calls, take that stress, take that work if you knew that there was the monthly significant cash flow coming in? How was your cash flow, by the way? Are they breaking even? Are they cash flowing? Are they negative? Like, what happened?
So that was definitely part of the problem. So first of all, I was doing some strategies, like no money down strategies. So there was part of the problem. So I think that somebody who's got a big nest egg and has some deeper pockets to be able to deal with problems as they arrive, or as they arise rather, could potentially not have had as many problems as we did. So we were constantly looking to investors to do cash infusions when things would go wrong. And of course, you know, that can be challenging too, right? Raising capital is a big challenge in the real estate market. So, so that was part of it, right? There was raising capital. There was not cash flowing enough. There was a lot of different challenges for sure, Camilo, that made it more challenging for me. Now, again, I was using money down strategies, and that was pretty cool. I would talk to people about that, and their eyes would pop open, and they're like, geez, I want to learn how to do that too, right?
Yeah.
And so those 13 properties that I talked about, I didn't spend a penny of my own money to acquire them, which is a huge big thing in the real estate market if you can use other people's money to buy property. But again, you know, I don't know, had I done things differently, perhaps I might have had a better experience. Will I ever invest in real estate again? I'm not saying that I wouldn't, but maybe I would look at using a different strategy. Maybe I would look at, you know, buying new build construction. One of the apartments that we bought, it was a 7-unit. It was in a pretty massive state of disrepair. But being in the real estate game, you know that sometimes they talk to you about buying the ugliest duckling on a pretty good street and then putting some money into it and rehabbing it and bringing it up to snuff so you can flip it for some extra cash. But when you run out of cash, that ugly duckling can become like a big sinkhole, and it can be very, very challenging if you don't go in with eyes wide open. And I think in a couple of the instances that I'm talking about, we know each other. We're both go-getters. We both go after our dreams and sink our teeth into stuff. And I think maybe at this point I bit off a little bit more than I could chew. And yeah, it got to the point where I just couldn't deal with it anymore. You know, especially you and I both know we hang out in pretty positive environments for the most part. So all of this negativity just got to the point where I'm like, yeah, you know what? I gave it a real good kick at the can, and it's just not the business for me. So.
Yeah. And that's perfect, and that's why I want to share your story, because it's not common. I would say it is more common than we think, but not many people are willing to accept it or not willing to share their story. So I appreciate your time on this. So in my Shit Happens, I share the story, but I don't want to be a negative person, just sharing the bad things that happen. What did you learn? What are the key things that you learned? Maybe not for you, because you're saying maybe that's not something that you could attack. But let's say there's a person out there that is really interested in learning about real estate, that wants that strategy, the no cash strategy, which in my opinion, you don't need cash to start, but you do need cash to get wealthy, because if you leverage too much, you're just going to run into those struggles. And raising capital to buy opportunities may be easier than raising capital to cover holes. You know, you know what I'm talking about. But what are the things that you can share to that person that wants to start so that they don't make the same mistakes that you did?
Well, I think some of the problem is that real estate has been glamorized by like shows on TV, like Home and Garden TV, and all those flipping shows. Like these guys make it look awesome. They go in there, they bulldoze down a house, they build it up, and all you see at the end is the beautiful, shiny like renovation that they've done. And so I think for people to go in with their eyes wide open is a really, really important message to share, because it's not glamorous like that. And again, where I'm talking about maybe some of the things I would have done differently is I wouldn't have taken on a project that had all of that work to do. I don't have a contracting background. A lot of these flip shows, it's like a partnership, right? A designer with a contractor. So I'm like, I was the designer, but I had no contractor behind me. So a lot of the choices I was making was having to outsource to that, and then it didn't always go well because I didn't really know what I was talking about. So I would suggest, you know, somebody starting out, first of all, understand what kind of real estate investing you want to get into, whether it be wholesaling, flipping, multifamily, single family, like figure out the strategy, stick with one so that you can get really, really good at it before trying to attack a whole bunch of other strategies. And I would say go get some education. So even though my final experience is not a good one, I'm definitely could have done, oh my God, I can't even imagine how much more things could have gone worse had I not put education behind me. So I do feel like going in with some courses or having a mentor are some key strategies to being able to be successful at real estate investing.
Awesome. Also, like one of my biggest takeaways is don't go so deep into properties, into too many properties without the cash. Let me share with you a quick story because it relates to what happened with you. That happened to me in a family game with my wife and her brother. We were playing Monopoly. And I'm this real estate investor. I'm 30 years old. That we were playing like 2 or 3 years ago, and I got one of my biggest lessons playing Monopoly with him. He was more conservative. I'm like, no, I'm the investor. Buy everything I can. I don't have any cash, but I keep buying. If I land on this perfect spot, I'll buy it. And I ran out of cash, and he just kept it simple. He ended up winning the game, but my entire game for 3 hours, I was so stressed out because I was 100% illiquid. I didn't have liquidity, and it's in a game. And I used that game in real life. At that moment, that's how my business was going. I was buying everything I could put my hands on, even without having any cash. I'm like, I'll figure out the cash wherever it comes. But after that game, I'm like, I have to slow down. I have to relax. I have to be a little bit liquid in my bank so I don't live that stressed life. Because one thing can go wrong, and here comes the bankruptcies, and I have to start letting go of properties and mortgaging these properties. And it happened in Monopoly game, which we all have played for years, but it was a great lesson for me. Maybe it applies to what happened to you as well. Maybe you took on so many things that needed so much cash and you didn't have it available, right?
Absolutely, definitely. That was a big problem, and which is funny because part of that acceleration of my business happened because of writing the book, which is exactly why I wrote the book, was to build myself up, position myself as a credible expert in my marketplace.
Yeah.
It worked phenomenally. But in the end, it was my ultimate demise and my exit out of the real estate game. So, but
awesome.
Everything happens for a reason. I'm super happy that I took it on, because I think sometimes you need to try 2 or 3 careers before you find the one that really fits for you, and that you're passionate about, and that brings you fulfillment, and that's what all of this led to for me. So I have no regrets. I just I learned quickly enough that this just is not my game, and I'm happy to leave the real estate investing to the big boys like you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for your experience and spending a few minutes with me. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing today. I know you're writing a book, Write and Grow Rich. Tell me a little bit about that. I also wrote my book, Cash Flowpreneur. It's about our story about renting properties and wholesaling and being an investor. And it was a great strategy as an investor, as a realtor as well, because you come in with a different credibility. That's what you're talking about in the book, right?
Absolutely. So this whole segue out of real estate ended up sparking what I was really passionate about. And I was always into continuing education, going to personal development seminars, which is where we met, right?
Yes, yes.
And taking my Rich Dad education and doing all of our personal development courses through Success Resources. So this is where I always felt like I was super passionate, always in my element, was giving back, serving, helping other entrepreneurs through the struggles that we have been through as real estate investors and otherwise. And so I decided, okay, I have now clearly identified what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So where does that leave me? I've been a financial advisor for over 13 years, and you kind of get wrapped up into this is who I am. Part of what you do for a living becomes part of your identity.
Yeah.
And so I was having a bit of an identity crisis, if you will. And then it just hit me again. I was like, wait a second. I absolutely rocked out a strategy that grew my business in record time. I'm going to teach other entrepreneurs how to do the same. And so this is where my new career as a book coach and business and marketing coach came to life. So my new book, called Write and Grow Rich, how to use a book to supersize your brand, your business, and your bank account, was born. And through that, what I do is I help entrepreneurs position themselves as an expert in their field and to potential prospects and clients. I help them differentiate themselves from everyone else doing what they're doing. So like you guys have done with your book.
Yeah.
This is what I help people do now. And then I help them take that book and use it as a marketing tool to grow their business and improve their lead generation, use it as a funnel to drive traffic right into their business. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. And sharing my story, it has helped me so much. You look different in a meeting, in a listing appointment, in front of an investor. When you come in, instead of just a business card, you come in, hey, here's my book. I'm not charging you for it. I'm giving it to you. They're not going to throw it away. They're not going to throw away a book. They throw away business cards all the time. But they always keep you in mind, and it shares your story. So that's awesome, and it's helped me so much. So guys, whoever's interested in writing a book, please contact Kim. Your Facebook handle has been through the entire interview here at the bottom, Kimberly Day. That's Kimberley, Day, correct?
Yes.
Awesome, perfect. So follow her on social media, on Facebook especially, and send her a direct message if you guys are interested, because it helped me so much in my business, also my wife, and it sets you apart than the entire competition. Shares your story, and that's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. I really appreciate the plug, Camilo. It's true. I mean, the book changed my life. It changed my life in more than one way. It changed it in terms of the growth of my business, but also it changed it and shifted my business right upside down. But I'm super grateful that all of that happened, because it really led me to where I want to be, which is helping other people in the same situation kind of put their sales and marketing on autopilot and just be able to get more leads into their business a little bit easier, right?
Awesome. Yes, yes, especially in this era where everybody's social media, Instagramming. Nobody's writing books right now, you know, especially the gurus. Nobody's writing books right now, but it's a great tool. It's different, sets you apart from your competition, whatever business you're in. Kim, again, I told you it was going to be short and sweet. Thank you so much for your time. I love this conversation, and we've had a few other conversations, but I love the topic. I hate real estate because it's not for you, and it's so good to have somebody accept it. I've tried it. I did it. I learned about it. I wrote the cycle, and it's just not for me. So that was awesome. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me, Camilo. Please say hello to your lovely wife, Michelle, for me.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for having me on the show. It was
awesome.
A pleasure being here.
Guys, if you're interested, if you like what you watch, please subscribe to the Cashflow Talk channel below and follow these rockstar Kimberly Day on social media on Facebook. And thank you so much for your time again.
You're welcome.
I'll see you next time.
Take care.